Hey everybody, the History Guy here, and you're probably wondering why I am at Antietam when I just completed that battle. And here's why. I was going to refit my army after fighting Antietam, after the videos that you probably just watched, the two-part series at Antietam, and I realized that I had no less than, I think, 7 or 8 brigades that hadn't fired a shot in the Battle of Antietam. And I wondered at the end of Antietam why it showed that I only had 38,000 men, instead of what I knew to be a much larger force, or closer to 60,000. And it occurred to me that some of my brigades, particularly the 4th Division in my 1st Corps, and a good bit of the 3rd Division of the 1st Corps, apparently never even showed up on the battlefield. And I remember a while back somebody mentioned to me in the comments on one of the videos that until probably around Fredericksburg that I wouldn't even see the 4th Divisions of my corps. And I kind of brushed it aside and thought, well, that's ridiculous. Why would that happen? But it turns out that is actually very accurate. So what I did was I've gone back and shuffled my divisions around. I took away my 4th Division completely from the 1st Corps and put them into the 3rd Corps. And it appears as though I now have more men on the battlefield. And it seems like the battle, I otherwise have gone with the exact same strategy to start the battle, but it's gone much more in my favor because I have a lot more units on the battlefield than I did. All because all I did was shift my 4th Division from my 1st Corps into my 3rd Corps. My thought process in loading up the 1st Corps was that most of the action takes place on the left, and I wanted to have a lot of units there, but it turns out it never even deployed a lot of those units. So here I am, back in the last part of the battle, and I seem to be in a much stronger position. Now, I'm immediately going to shift these guys up to cover Burnside Bridge, which I'm not entirely sure I'm going to be able to hold anyway. So I'm actually thinking I may just go ahead and pull back already, which is what I ended up doing the last time. So I'm going to pull those units back while they're still intact. I'm going to go ahead and shift the focus of some of these units because I think I'm going to get overwhelmed here pretty quickly otherwise. But it seems like it's going much, much better for me. In fact, I have an advantage in numbers right now of about 8,000 men, whereas at this point in my previous fight, I actually was outnumbered. Interesting. Interesting how that works. That's not the kind of thing they ever really explain to you in the game, and yet it seems to be the case. I'm going to drop some skirmishers off of Enyart here, and then we're going to let him get out of there if it'll let me select him. Alright, now I need to go ahead and pull these guns out of here because that's what happened to me last time. My battery ended up retreating up to here, but of course I wasn't holding the line as strongly as I am here right now. So, alright, let's go ahead and get the supplies down here to resupply these units that are starting to run low on ammo. We're going to pull these guys out and get ready to face the units that may come up from Burnside Bridge. I'll form a defensive line around Sharpsburg right there. But I think I'm going to find that this goes much, much better by loading up my 3rd Corps more than just having all those forces in the 1st Corps like I did before. It definitely seems to be the case so far. And as with before, I'm going to start shifting some units away from my left flank where there doesn't seem to be much happening. once I finish off the Iron Brigade up here. I'm going to drop off some skirmishers from Ziegler up here. If it'll let me do that. There we go. And just throw them down here around the Dunker Church. Alright, so right here I'm going to form a defensive line with these units, just to prepare in case they come at the town. I'm actually going to go ahead and order all of these units back as well, because I feel like I'm just unnecessarily taking casualties here. Or I may just go ahead and advance Siegfried across. You can see he's bunched up big time right here. Let's drop Vaughn out of that spot in the line, put Bayard up there. He's got more men. Now, interestingly, this cavalry unit in my last fight had over 1,200 kills. This time they've lost 379 men and aren't getting many kills at all. Alright, so this is interesting. This didn't happen last time. They're coming up around on this other bridge. So Siegfried got across, but immediately is getting lit up. So I've got a little problem right here. But as you look at the numbers, I've got an 8,000 man advantage where I was significantly outnumbered at this point in my last fight, because I didn't have all the men on the field that I should have. So I find that really interesting. So he's starting to sneak some units up over here. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to send Snow out here to deal with these guys before they get into my flank too much. I may have to do a little suicidal attack with the cavalry just to slow them down. Gonna do the same with Forrest here. Gonna try to intercept these guys. Oh man, there's 2 brigades there. Okay, bad idea. More than 2 brigades. There's quite a few brigades there. Alright, we're gonna drop back here. Let's get these guys out of here. I should have probably done that from the beginning. So they're largely bypassing me here at Sharpsburg, which is an interesting strategy. Really nothing at all happening on the left at this point. I'm going to charge into a couple of these smaller brigades. See how that works out for me. Alright, because I've already played the battle, I'm just kind of speeding through this just because I want to kind of see how it all unfolds. Obviously, the Orphan Brigade's going to make a valiant stand against 5,000 or 6,000 men there. And pull this battery back. We're holding the line quite well up here. Just keep an eye on what's happening down here. So I'm sacrificing some units on my right just to slow things down. I'm going to start shifting some of these units up here down because I think I'm okay up here, other than the ammo issue, which I think I can resolve right here. So it's a little tangled mess over here on the right now, but one I think I can manage. Gonna get Grider down here. You're going to get Wharton and Preston down here, and I think that'll slow them down. And my numbers are so far doing much, much better, it seems. Now we'll compare at the end to see how things shook out this way compared to the last time in terms of my final casualty numbers. Well, crap. Those supplies are out now too. This guy's got a little bit left. Let's get him over there. Resupply these brigades that are out. So I'm speeding through this. I'm not taking a lot of care at the moment. I'm just really doing this for comparison purposes. Just to show what one little change in the makeup of my army can do. We're starting to break some of these guys now. Of course, the major difference right now is that I've never given up any of the objectives that I need to win the battle. I've held them from start to finish, whereas before I had to go back and take some that the enemy temporarily took. So they are getting kind of close on this one over here. And again, I'm not being real cautious. I'm going through pretty fast on this. I just want to compare the final numbers this way, even with it being less cautious. So he just walked some supplies right into me here. That's kind of cool. Too bad they're empty. Probably why he didn't care. Hour to go. Another unit of Union supplies that was completely empty just surrendered to me. Oh, this one's not empty. Well, isn't that interesting? Well, let's hurry these guys over and give some ammo to our depleted troops. Taliaferro's got 2,200 kills and 1,200 deaths, and he's down to just 200 men. Here come the supplies. Better late than never, I suppose. Taliaferro has ceased to exist. Now, I did just lose a major general killed, a brigadier general killed, so those are 2 more generals killed than I had last time. Another unit of mine just completely disintegrated. And again, those are things that might have been avoided if I was more cautious this time around. But I mainly just want to see how it all ends up as compared to the last time. Okay, so let's take a look. This time around, see, now the numbers are almost even, whereas before he had a huge advantage on strength. Now the casualties are much higher on both sides. Well, not much higher on his side as compared to mine. I actually lost, I think that's more men than I lost the other way. So 26,000 casualties that time. But you can see the difference in the strength. So if I had played this battle as I did the first time, as far as how cautious I was and how much care I gave to movement and position, I probably would have ended up with fewer casualties and maybe a better victory. But I don't know. The point is, I just wanted to demonstrate the fact that having that 4th Division in my 1st Corps actually affected the battle in a pretty significant way, because none of those troops and a good bit of the troops in the 3rd Division ever showed up on the battlefield. And when I went into refit, and you might even be able to see that at the end of the video of my end of Antietam, a lot of those units were still at 2,500 men. They hadn't even engaged. So just wanted to do that to show that to you, and it's something to keep in mind when building your armies for various battles, that they do get affected by what division they are. So there you have it. Just wanted to show that to you, and we'll be back tomorrow with more battles, but thanks for watching. We will see you again soon.